In creating Thrawn, Timothy Zahn had effectively written himself into a hole. Thrawn's military ingenuity alone placed him far above any other antagonist in the Star Wars franchise. But his preternatural ability to read a situation and thus discern the goals and motives of his enemies made him essentially invincible. He was not in any means the typical Star Wars villain. In fact, one may argue that he was not a villain at all, merely an advocate of peace and order, whose unfortunate alignment with the Galactic Empire placed him at odds with the series' protagonists. But one thing is certain: for the first time in the Star Wars mythos, we had the pleasure of witnessing the reign of a character whose first order of attack was not overwhelming force. Therefore, it is no surprise that when a new Thrawn novel was announced last summer, the Star Wars fanbase erupted into discussion. How would the new book connect with the previous trilogy? Would Zahn write it? Would it be as good? Would it even be the same character? Towards the future of a franchise whose post-revival track record had been a series of bitter disappointments. These were all valid concerns. Nonetheless, on April 11th, 2017, the book was released, and having read the piece 2 times over since, one thing is clear. This book has given Zahn the chance he'd always wanted to revise his masterpiece of 18 years prior, to tell the story from Thrawn's perspective and reveal the previously hidden subtleties behind his character. I believe he succeeded. Each chapter is prefaced by a page of Thrawn's journal, and although these small glimpses into the protagonist's mind are far and few between, they serve to highlight the key themes of the chapter to come. What makes this so appealing is that by taking the time to truly understand the insight behind each of these passages, a reader can form educated guesses about Thrawn's future plans. This in turn makes room for the reader to be wrong, and for Zahn to subsequently surprise us by taking on the conflict at an angle we had never even imagined possible. For readers to whom this book marks their first trip into the deeper end of the Star Wars universe, I imagine this challenge of mystery will be a refreshing first step. But it is with longtime fans who have followed the works of authors such as Timothy Zahn, Drew Karpyshyn, James Luceno, and Matthew Stover, etc., since the days of the EU, that this book truly strikes a chord. At once, it pays homage to the character-driven narratives that dominated the heyday of the Star Wars franchise, and commemorates the now decanonized accomplishments of some of its greatest writers. Even still, the book is not without its flaws. The plot is largely divided into 3 acts, but because Thrawn serves a fairly similar role in each of the first 2 acts, his character may end up feeling a bit stale. Thankfully, Zahn seemed to have realized this, and compensated with a clear emphasis on developing strong supporting characters. In fact, the book is told through the perspective of 3 central narrators: Thrawn, the main protagonist, Eli Vanto, Thrawn's aide and the voice of practicality and humanity, and Arinda Pryce, a representative of the political side of Star Wars. By switching between the 3, Zahn develops multiple perspectives on Thrawn's character, and through this, reveals his pivotal weakness: the inability to understand that the world does not think as he does. The other piece of criticism I've seen thrown around regards Thrawn's seeming invincibility. No matter what he does, he is practically never wrong, and this understandably irked readers who had not been exposed to his character before. But this calls into question another interesting point. Did we ever truly understand Thrawn? Of course, the narrative paints him as a nationalistic, excessively practical, and tactically bulletproof character who struggles through the Empire's anti-alien policies and self-destructive politics, build him into his interpretation in Rebels, and a being who hopes to one day use his position in the Empire to aid the Chiss. These are the facts. But who is Thrawn? By recalling all the moments in which he interacted with others, whether that be using them for his own good, or being kind and compassionate, we can come to realize that Thrawn did not really have a personality. We as readers can learn much about his thought process and philosophy through the prefaces of each chapter. But even in those, Thrawn is as many parts mysterious as he is enlightening. The mind of a genius, how he or she thinks, what he or she believes, is alien to the common man. So while we may see Thrawn as a military mastermind, trying to dissect his personality would be equivalent to trying to sift through the list of half-truths and contradictions that ultimately comprise his decision-making. The strongest example of this is seen through Eli Vanto. Throughout the novel, he is characterized as Thrawn's friend, as much as he is his aide, confidant, and in some ways apprentice. But did Thrawn truly care? In some instances, such as during Vanto's promotion ceremony, or their conversations regarding Rossi or the Empire, he very well seems to. But then he throws a curveball through his actions at the end of the novel, sending Vanto away to the Chiss, leaving the reader to wonder if Thrawn had seen Vanto as a tool, something to be nurtured and built, then used the entire time. Ultimately, I don't believe anyone can answer this question, and I think it was Zahn's goal to make it as such. But it serves as interesting enough a premise for me that I can forgive his natural lack of flaws. Conclusively, this book is a must-read for any Star Wars fan wanting to know more about the Empire's hidden past. And although the movie painted the Imperials as soulless killers, Zahn's brilliance brings them to life, with a commander unlike any other at their head.